one that we were focusing on was video analysis. So just as a reminder, can anyone put their hand up, understand, or then tell me what other types of analysis there are of games apart from video? Anyone remember? You guys? Yeah, I know, but do you know anything? Do you know anything about video or game analysis? What else is there? Yeah, so statistics. Yeah, so you analyse a game based on statistics. So 30% possession, 40% possession, 10 shots on target, 5 front third entries. Have you heard about those types of statistics? Anything else? Have you seen those things that hang on people's backs in games? GPS units. Yeah, so that's another way to analyse performance, and then just what you remember. So the one I said that I believe is the most accurate is video analysis, because video doesn't lie. What you see is actually what happens, and combining with a lot of other stuff like the GPS, like the statistics, you get a good overall understanding of performance analysis and game analysis as well. So what we're going to do today, and this is only one part, we're going to look at analysing a game, analysing sections of a game when we don't have the ball. And does anyone know what that is? What's it called when you don't have the ball? Yeah, defending. Well, have anyone heard of BPO? Ball possession opposition. You hear coaches saying it, you'll hear it more often. So BP and BPO. Ball possession when you have the ball. BPO when the opposition has the ball. Yeah? So make sure you listen to that, because you'll hear that. There's 4 main moments in games that we look at. When you have got the ball, BP. When you don't have the ball, BPO. And then when you have it and you lose it, or when you don't have it and you win it back. They're called transitions. Yeah? So, what is BPO? What we just said. The way it's ball possession opposition, but the way we look at it when we're analysing the game, we say, what is it? It's what we do when the other team has the ball. Yeah? How do we want to defend? So we're looking at defending from the front, midfield, structure, and then defending setup, and the goalkeeper plays a part as well. That's when we don't have the ball. Okay? So how do we want to defend? You can see that from that picture there, the Brazil versus Italy, I think that was like 98. Perfect. 98. The Italians pretty ruthless in their defending. You know the type of team that the Italians are in terms of their defence, as opposed to maybe the Argentinians or the Spanish. So, do we want to press the ball immediately? Do we want to win the ball back, or do we sit back? And if we do want to win the ball back immediately, or we want to drop back and wait for them to come onto us, what does it take? What do you need to be able to do? Can anyone tell me? So let's take the first one. Do we want to win the ball back immediately? If the answer from your coach is yes, what do you think that takes? What did you say? Press. So press pretty quickly. You lose the ball, you want to win it back straight away. Is that right? Yeah. I'll show you a video later. It's not the best of videos. Where Barcelona, they have a 6-second rule. It's not about dropping food on the floor and picking it up and eating it. 6-second rule. You lose the ball, you've got to win it back within 6 seconds. Yeah? What do you think that takes though? Who said that? Energy. Yeah. Takes a lot of fitness. You're going to be pretty fit to be able to do that. Yeah? So the physical demands, yeah?
In your opinion, what, for obviously a goalkeeper and outfield players different, but say a centre mid or striker, in your centre mid or striker, in your opinion, what's the most important physical aspect?
In relation to just the whole game situation.
Yeah, would you say quickness
Yeah.
or fitness?
Look, we're probably going to get sidetracked from what we're doing because
Oh,
that's all right, because that conversation can vary based on different positions. But a central midfielder definitely has to be able to physically cope with demands, so be able to run from box to box, and that's important in this type of thing. And I'll show you some video in a minute. But me and you can have a conversation about that because that's going into a different type of conversation. So what does it take? What sort of physical demands? Probably do we drop back on weight? This structural setup is really important, although it's still important in that sense there. And then probably some moments in the game will determine whether you're going to go and press straight away or whether you're going to sit back. And some teams have a combination of both. Some teams just do one or the other. Okay, I think personally in games, the combination of those two, based on moments in games. Can anyone give me an example of a moment in a game where you might sit back and wait for them to come onto you? Yeah? Late in the game when you're winning, perfect. Yeah. You might sit back because it's maybe less riskier. It's late in the game, tired, maybe you want to pick your moment to go instead of gambling a little bit, although there are calculated gambles. Anyone else? What happens if you've pressed and pressed and pressed and pressed about 10 times in a row? I think there might be a moment in the game where you say to your strikers, hang on, just relax, wait, let's get a breather. The fitter the team, probably the less that happens, but that generally happens because pressing, and you'll see with some examples, is pretty physically demanding. So I'm just going to show you a video, and I've just selected this. This is off the Nike Academy in the UK. I've selected this. This is the sort of stuff that us as coaches would come up with. Not necessarily this exactly. This is just an example. But this is the sort of stuff that us as coaches would come up with to prepare a team for a certain type of action in the game. And this in particular is looking at the opposition's goal kicks and how we defend the goal kicks. And then I'll show you some examples of some of the teams in the A-League and how they do it as well. So just sit back and listen, and we'll go.
Obviously, in a game of football, you never ever going to always be able to do one. There's too many variables. So in this case, what I want to cover is just what would happen if the goalkeeper is able to throw out quickly to one of the centre halves. For instance, this guy here. Now, what we want to do, if we can, we're playing at a 4-2-3-1 in blue, like against a 4-3-3 in red. Is we want to almost allow one of the centre halves, ideally the one who's not that good with the ball, to have it. Okay, and then we're going to look to manipulate what passing options that he's got available to him. Okay, so what we want to do, if we can, is make sure that we've got a good sort of screen on their pivot man, the number 4. Okay, so if this is their pivot man here, like so, and say that's Tom Fulton-Brown, who's playing on number 9, and then we've got Mike Kukovic or David Goldsmith playing on number 10 here. Right, so Tom Fulton-Brown. As this guy's got good possession of the ball, I don't want you to go tearing across to this guy, okay, because obviously he might be able to cut the ball back, and then you've got a bounce ball out there, okay? So I want you, Tom, to just make your way over there, but just almost just shadow him, force him into this sort of area of the pitch. Well, we've locked onto the wide man there, and we've got our wide man taking care of the fullback. While Tom's making that run across the pitch, slowly but surely, showing him one way, obviously this guy's going to be looking for a bounce ball into one of his midfielders. Okay, so what I'd say, if that's David Goldsmith or Mike Kukovic, can you almost in a way be screening this guy? Okay, so that he can't play any sort of ball, possibly that side, because you can threaten that ball in there or down there. Now, all that means is that it might be the centre halves, it might be this midfielder, it might even be this fullback that are just telling you what shoulder he's on. Is he on your left shoulder, where you can adjust, or is he on your right shoulder, so you can adjust as so. Okay, so this guy's on the ball. We've got Tom that's shining this side of the pitch here. As this is happening, we've got our number 10 screening their pivot player there. okay? Now, as this is going on, what we might find is that all of a sudden,
Does that sound familiar? Is that the sort of team talk you have or training talk that you might have with your coach? No? Sound pretty complicated? It's not really. So it's interesting, and I probably had a guess that you wouldn't get that type of conversation prior to a game. We'd hope as coaches that you would. But you can see the type of organisation that goes into just doing one thing. And all he's asking these guys to do is to stop them from playing out from the back. So, and that's called front third pressure. Yeah? So, I'll play the rest of it. But you can see it's one part. So we said there was 4 key moments in games: when you have got the ball, when you haven't got the ball, and then when you lose it, and then when you win it. Yeah. And we're looking at when you haven't got the ball. When you haven't got the ball, we look at the 3 areas: front third, middle third, back third, and we include the goalkeeper in that as well. So when you're looking at tactical stuff, there's a lot of information that you're going to need. Because if you're this player here, and he's the one he's concentrating on the most, if you're this player here, and you're not standing here, but instead you're standing here, or you're standing here, or you go and mark this guy, the whole thing breaks down. Because you're one component in a whole team structure. Did you have a question?
Yeah, and I know it's risky to play back to the goalkeeper, but why don't you do it bounce ball back to the keeper to do it?
Yeah, well, we're looking at the Blues who are defending at the moment. So why wouldn't they do that? For me, that would be the best option, the best outcome as a defending team and as a team in blue to make them kick back, because that's furthest away from our goal. So if all
that, how would you defend?
Yeah. So if he then played, and he might surprise you. But if our analysis is correct, then and we get it right, then we can expose that. Yeah. So let them play around those 3. They're never going to score from there. If we win it back, we've got a good chance of scoring. I'll play the rest of it, and don't worry if you don't follow it. But a lot of the terminology he uses is very similar to what we use. And if you don't follow it, I'm sure as you go through your career,
this number 10 here
getting a lot more of
tries
this
to
stuff.
get into a pocket or come to the and shows to the ball. Now, it's vitally important that our 2 centre halves and our 2 midfielders, there's a good communication going. Alright, so he's going to look to show for the ball. In which case, I don't want to see our centre half go out there chasing it. There's no need, because all of a sudden there's a channel ball on there, and then that means that we've got a one-on-one there. We don't want that, okay? What we want is for Eddie or George Grant to be able to take care of this guy, okay? He's going into your zone. You're more than capable of going with him. So if the ball goes in there, okay, all of a sudden, pressure point there, we've got a pressure point from there, and depending on what sort of depth this guy shows, and if he's got a good touch or not, if it's a baggy touch, all of a sudden, we've got a lot of pressure on it.
Okay, so as you see, that's and that's probably not the whole conversation, and that's only one thing stopping them from playing out from the back. Yeah? So what I've done here, this is an A-League game. This vision here is the vision that we get as a team when we're analysing a game. The reason we do that, does anyone know? Can anyone guess? Why we get this vision and we don't use the Foxtel vision?
Better view.
Better view. What do you see? You see that goal?
You see the whole thing.
Almost the whole pitch. You see every player apart from the goalkeeper. And I'll show you some footage that us as Victory do, which is even more than just this. So we look at the Foxtel footage, because sometimes you get different camera angles and you might see something. But basically this shows a structure. So when when we play and we analyse ourselves, we look at this, and when we analyse opposition, so this game here we watched prior to us playing Wellington, and they were playing Central Coast, so Central Coast are in the pink. We're going to look at how Wellington, who are in the white, yeah, defending and going that way, look at how they set up for goal kicks. Now, I may stop this from time to time, so just bear with us. And I'll talk through it as well. So you see here, he's getting ready to kick. What do you think they're doing? Anyone?
Pressuring.
Sorry.
Pressuring.
Yeah, hang on, sorry, just one sec. I'll just... He's pressuring.
Trying to cut off the options.
Yeah. What do you think Wellington have said here? Do what?
Let him have the ball and run on to
Yeah. So let him have the first pass. That's what I think they've said. Let him have the first pass. They've got four attackers, defending. That's their first line. This is their defending line. This is their holding midfielder. This is their other midfielder. And they've said, let him have it. And then we're going to press. Yeah? And what do? Force him long. And they keep the ball. Not for very long, but at least they keep the ball. Again. So there's a player here. You can see him. Player there. And I reckon they do the same thing, but because it was a bit of a risky pass, they decide not to do it, so he goes long. And they all get compact. So that's Wellington stopping Central Coast from playing. Why do you think they're stopping them from playing? Because Wellington can't score if Central Coast has the ball. Yeah. You can't score if the opposition has the ball. So the opposition has the free kick, they have the ball. We've got to try and make it a contest. The easiest way is to put pressure on them, so they have to put it into a contest, and it allows them to then try and win the ball back, and in fact they keep the ball, and you can see straight away they're into now a situation where they're having a shot on goal. You want to see a difference? What have Central Coast done? Yeah, where was he before? Where, here? Here? Bad here? Yeah. And he stopped him. He did two jobs. Now by him coming an extra 5-10 metres here, it's giving him a thought. What do? Do I go and press him, or do I go and come back? So part of the coach's role and the players is to work out solutions while the game's going on. And now they're playing out. And as you can see here, although it's offside, Wellington end up defending their 18-yard box because they played out. Again, he comes up here, he gets the ball, and they're able to come out. Now they're trying to do this. So the press that's coming now is actually not very good from Wellington. They're a little bit all over the place. Again, they're under a bit of pressure here. Now look what he's done. They've sent someone. So now the solution is the other side of it now. Wellington, who we're looking at defending, BP, they haven't got the ball. They've decided to throw someone in. He's coming down here. So they say, okay, well, we can't play. Now Wellington's got a bit of cat and mouse. Wellington have said, no, well, we're not going to let you play, because twice you've played, and twice you've got to the edge of our box. We don't like it, so we're going to make you kick again. Now that may come from the coach identifying it, the players identifying it. So now it's second half, so Wellington are kicking into this goal. Sorry, my mistake. This is now looking at Central Coast and how they play out. Wellington, sorry. No, we do go to Central Coast, don't we? Yeah. This is Wellington still playing out. So as you can see, they've played out. Although they're not very good in the midfield keeping the ball, they're still getting over the halfway line. So what's the difference you see here? Anyone? They're not pressing. Two factors. They could be winning, and I think they actually are. So they're deciding that they're going to stay a little bit more defensive. Or now this is second half, it could even be later on in the game and they could be fatigued. Big areas here that they're leaving, so now we're looking at Central Coast. Yeah. Letting them out. See what he just did? So that's the coach of Wellington. Wellington with the goal kick. What do you think he's telling them to do? Push up. Knock it long. So that kind of makes the decision for the team without the ball to now defend some different section. See what Wellington do? Or push over one side and then they drop off to win the second ball. See, they all come over one side. So they know this is their setup. And if you see here, they're not looking to win the ball. They're actually looking to win the transition, to win the second ball. Okay. I'll just show you, okay, so that was from goal kicks. Okay, and goal kicks are slightly different to defending from the front in open play because you don't have the time to set up, you don't have the time for the structure, so it can be slightly different. So we'll just go through a couple of these. So as you can see here, Wellington now are defending. This is the Central Coast goalkeeper. And that was what you were saying, that he's allowed him to go back to the goalkeeper, and now they're pressing him, coming in here, 3v2, holding midfielder, and they're there to win the ball back. They lose it back, and if you can see the structure here, he's coming back in. We've got three here. Two holding midfielders, or one holding midfielder, one guy coming back in. Four, and then one. Cool. On the weekend, Melbourne Victory versus Brisbane Roar. And I'll just show you a couple of examples. It is a little bit blurry, but it gets better. I'll show you a couple of examples of how Melbourne Victory press, and let me know if you see any differences in this. So he's got the ball there. It does get better, it's a little bit blurry. So this is us defending on the front. What do you think? Sorry? Quicker? Close quicker? You think? Does it look like we're closing quicker than maybe the last example that we saw? So goalkeeper's got the ball. One here, 3, 2 here, pretty spread, 4 here. Similar? What do you think our tactics were? Make them do what? Make them kick. Why would we make them kick? Because Brisbane are a pretty good team when they play, when they have the ball. Look at that intensity. Make them kick. So if it's not off the first one, it's off the second one. High line, almost halfway line, when they have the ball. This is the second half, still going. I'll get a little bit of crowd noise. Not much in there, nothing.
Brisbane's coach was sacked.
Yeah, unfortunately, he lost his job after this. So, those two videos, and the video that we saw of the pre-game talk, are not that different. Although that pre-game talk has nothing to do with the A-League. It's like I said, it's the Nike Academy in the UK. But the reason I picked that out, and I'm going to show you another one, the reason I picked that out is because it's a similar message to the basics of how we're going to win the ball back when they have a goal kick or in open play in our front third or their defensive third. So now we'll look at the midfield and the attacking third. Okay, their attacking third or our defensive third. So our midfield third and our defensive third. And we're just going to have another one of these videos, so just listen in.
Keep on the number 4 once he's in possession. Right, so the other side of the game now is defensively. Okay,
So, does anyone know what the number 6's role is in the team? If someone says you're going to play number 6, do you know what position that is? Defensively. Attacking midfield is number 10 or number 8. Number 6 generally is the defensive midfielder. Okay? But in this video, they refer to him as the number 4. So slightly different. So when you hear number 4, they're talking about a defensive midfielder.
what are we looking for? Very briefly from our number 4 defensively. Well, if they're a 4-4-2, right, what we want for the number 4 is to become a screening player. Okay, I know these distances probably aren't correct, but just to get his role nailed down. Okay, we call it a screening player. So ball's over here. It's very likely that they'll try and hit this centre forward. Okay, so the 4 needs to take up a position now, not on his toes, because you don't need to screen there, he's too big. Okay, but in a position where he can cut out his pass. Or, if he's a very clever number 4, he
won't even get to that stage. Because of his positioning, that will put the centre half off from trying to even play that pass. Okay, say if it's on that side or if the centre midfielder's in possession and we're showing it that way, okay, there's no point in the ball being here, because all they do is play straight into their centre forward. So the forward has got to read the game, come across and try and block that pass there. Okay, so the most important thing out of possession is that the number 4 is an effective screening player. Okay, there's a big debate in football, does he need to be a real tough tackler? Does he need to run around kicking people? Well, in our opinion, no, he doesn't. Okay, there are places for them types of player, okay, but if your number 4 is very bright and very intelligent and reads the game, right, it doesn't even need to get to that stage, as we said before. Right, he can just cut the ball out with his positions, so this midfielder won't then play that pass. They'll play sideways. And again, it takes up another position, they won't play forward, they'll play backwards. Okay, so it doesn't need to be. If you're out there and you want to play this position, but you're not the best tackler, that, in our opinion, isn't that important. And yes, there's room for it, and if they're on the counter-attack, you might have to tackle, but in general build-up play, your positioning is key, and that is the thing that is going to stop the opposition playing forward and ultimately getting in scoring position.
So that's just one aspect of the defensive duties of a midfielder. But we'll look now at the video, we'll combine the midfielders and defenders, and I'll show you a little bit on the goalkeepers as well, and their roles in BPO, ball possession opposition. So again, we'll look at this game, and we'll look at the setup that these two teams have. So in particular, Wellington. And you remember in that video he talked about the number 4, we talked about the number 6. He's actually picking this guy up. So if this was my team, if this was you guys playing and I was addressing you and this was our game and we were Wellington, I would be saying the distance, let's close the pitch a little bit and make the distance between the ball and our last line shorter. So can these guys squeeze up to this line? Can he then go and screen in front, just like we saw in the video? And then these guys here can push on a little bit more and they can actually start putting pressure in here. Remember what we said, what type of team do we want to be when we're defending? Do we want to be aggressive and defend straight away, or do we want to sit back? In my team, no. You're going to work really hard at training, so you've got the capability of going and attacking. Why do you think that I would choose that method more often than not? What happens if I win the ball here? Am I close to the goal? What's the rewards? Goal. 1-on-1. You're getting close to the goal. What happens if I win the ball here? If I win the ball here, that's great because I've got possession, but is that going to allow me to score a goal pretty quickly? Probably not. And there's times that that's going to happen, but if we can help it, let's get this line up to here. Okay, let's get him in front screening. Let's push these guys on and let's force them to play in their half because they can't score when they're in their half. So now he's starting to do it. He's released and he's come out. And now they're slowly doing it. See how they come up? So with a decent defensive setup, they force them to go long, and it's not the best of balls, which doesn't allow Central Coast to get into really anything here. So they've just won the ball back. That's a transition moment, as we talked about. And they're looking to press, although I'm not sure what he's doing. And in the end, they're defending on their goal line. But I'm going to just show you something here. Where do you think this started, guys? It ended up inside Wellington's 18-yard box. Where do you reckon it started? With who not defending properly? Yeah? What do you think? If he does a better job, okay, and you're more aggressive and you work harder and you close that distance from that player there in particular and that player and that ball, if he comes across into here, there's no need for them two to be there. Leave him because it's going to be a hard ball. He comes across into this space here, backs him up. Do you think it could have been different? Have a look. Yeah? Look what he's doing. Why doesn't he go forward? There's no one here. These guys aren't marking anyone. He could even push into there. And now all of a sudden, they get the counter attack and now they're defending their own goal. So in analysing that, we actually had a field day against Wellington because we knew that there was gaps to play if we played the ball forward and we played it early. Own goal? What do you reckon? Again? Did you see any mistakes there? See a few? So it's important. Now they're starting to hunt. Look, they're hunting because they're down. Okay? But look at the distance now. Oh. Sorry, boys. Look at the distances now between where the ball is and where he is. Why is he all the way back here? What's he scared of?
From a long ball?
Long ball over the top? You reckon he could score from there?
No.
Where should the goalkeeper be? And I'll show you some footage of what we do, and our goalkeeper plays a huge part in the way we defend, even when the ball's in their half. Yeah? Why is he here? Why wouldn't he? Who's the striker here? Hands up, who's a striker? Yeah? So if you're running up and down, closing their defenders, because that's what your coach has told you to do, and your wide striker or wide midfielder standing on this guy when the ball's over there, he's going to kill you. You're just going to be running all day. So then you've got to have the understanding to pull him in closer to make your job easier. Look how many passes they're having in the opposition half. Do you think that's good? No. Do you think Wellington can score while they haven't got the ball? No. If they win the ball there, they've then got to get past these guys. But in the same sense, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, roughly, against 2. So they're not creating an overload going attacking either. That's a little bit better pressure now. Okay. So we'll look at, this is a different game. This is Sydney against Central Coast, I think it is. And we'll just look at a little bit of the setup here. And I won't go through the whole of this video, but I'll just show you some of the stuff. And the differences, tell me if you can, and just shout it out if you see a difference. It's, there's no wrong answers here, so better music from the crowd, a better chant. What do you think? Does that look a bit more aggressive than before? Yeah, look how aggressive they are. That's Sydney, Central Coast. Look, what's he doing? Yeah, what's he doing? What's he doing here? Look where the line is now of the pitch. What you were saying before, they're bringing them all over one side, leaving the furthest man. Yeah, a bit more aggressive. So Sydney have the ball now, they lose it. Okay, they're setting up, look, they're setting up. Look at that, aggressive. They get played around because why? notice anything there?
Three is one on the outside.
This guy here?
Now on the outside as well. There's one on the outside there. Blue shirt.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he could probably start coming in here. But you don't want your strikers coming too far deep because if you win it, then there's no one there. So you probably want him in there, see if they go to play out, you can put some pressure on. But in particular, I'm looking at this action here.
There's a left
Left him alone.
on that sort of side.
Oh, hang on. We'll go back to it. I'm just going to show you one little thing that if they slightly changed, okay, if they slightly changed this scenario, we'll move on. Remember just to show you this one thing, it might come back. Ah, here it is. So have a look here. They're closing the pitch. He's coming across. Does he need to be that far? No. Does he need to be that far? If he come back in a little bit, he now should get behind the ball. If he comes back in the central area, if he then runs into this area, he comes across half and half, and he goes on the outside of him, what do you think this could allow him to do? Close down? What do we do? Leave the furthest man? Less dangerous? We'll just have a little bit more of this. Different pace to this game than the last game. A little bit more aggressive. Still got a bit of time on the ball, haven't they? In the opposition half. Allows them to play around a little bit, get fairly close to their penalty box. Probably not an ideal situation. Talk about making the pitch small when the opposition has the ball. I think they've made it small for him. He's pretty, so in a vicinity of 4 players here, fairly close to the ball. Again, he could probably come in a bit, he could shuffle across, he could get closer, he could maybe push on and allow him to push on a little bit. Then that becomes 1-on-1, but if he wins it, what can he do? Take the ball there. Definitely. A little back. A lot of pressure. They're trying to win it back straight away. They are. And they're successful. Sometimes it's not the initial tackle, but it's forcing them to make a mistake, and in the end, they get a free kick. Look at this, there's a pressure there. Look, that's a lot of pressure, forcing him back. Pressure. Look, and look what they do, force him back. When they squeeze out, make it small. From So I'll just go into, and I'll just show you a little bit of this. This is the tactics and setups of victory in the midfield and defensive structure. So we'll have a little bit of a look at this. There's no bad noise here, unfortunately. So I think that's pressure. I think that's pressure. That's pressure. Forcing the kick. We win the ball back. They get it. Look at that pressure is making the pitch small. Forcing back. Pressure. Look how close he is. That's in their half. The other two games we saw, the opposition had more time in. So Central Coast had more time in Wellington's half and in Sydney's half. We're not letting them have any time in their half, let alone in our half. Look at that line. Look at them sprinting. Yeah? Look at that, man for man, man for man. This is really important as well, guys. When you're looking at a defensive setup, it's not necessarily about winning the ball. It's not necessarily about winning the ball straight away. It's about trying to force them to make a mistake. He doesn't win it here. Yeah, he gets played around, but look at his effort. Look at the pressure, bang. What happens? He can't kick it to where he wants to kick it. Look at that line. Okay, we weren't very good at holding the ball either, but look at this. Are we trying to press him, or are we sitting back? Press. 100% press. We believe we're the fittest team in the league, so we're going to do that constantly. We're going to wear teams down. That's why, although it was an own goal, we scored late in this game. That's part of our tactics. See him? Why isn't he sitting here? Why? It's not important. He's helping out the defensive structure, making it small. Look at the winning the ball back again. Now he's getting across because there's danger now. But look where he is. The opposite. Even the coach is getting there. We lose the ball. Look. What do you reckon he's doing? Is he resting? Bear with me one sec, guys. Let me just check something. Sorry, guys. Keep going. Battery runs out. We're nearly done anyway, guys. Is he resting? Do you think he's resting?
He's also getting an opportunity.
Getting ready? Because he relies on our team to do what?
To give him a through ball.
Yeah, to win the ball.
That's on one side. He gives an option.
Exactly. He relies on us to win the ball back. So then, as we win it back in here, as you can see, we win it back in here. What do you think he's going to do once we win it back?
So,
Yeah. See, we're so far across, we're creating an overload. We're pressing. And it doesn't always work, guys. Because maybe one player doesn't do what his job is. But now, see, he's coming back. Yes, he's still looking after. He can still control this, but he's looking to get forward. Okay. I'll just show you this quickly here, and then we've got a couple more videos. This is the goalkeeper's role, okay, when we don't have the ball. Anyone a goalkeeper in here? Fantastic. Tell me if you play like this. Play that high up the field when they're just over their half. Look at him. He's like a sweeper. What happens there? Look. Cuts it out. Yeah. See how high he plays? Look how high he is. Look. He's just on the halfway line, and look how far out he is. Look, he's not even making the run because he goes, the goalkeeper's got it. Next time you're at a game, because you can't see this on Fox, watch the goalkeeper. Okay? Okay, remember I said the 6-second rule? It's not the best footage, but we'll have a go. Barcelona in the dark colours. I know it's not the best footage, guys, just have a look, it does get better. After losing the ball, the whole team needs to win it back within 6 seconds. That's their philosophy. Look at the whole team, and you watch all the dark colours. And they lose the ball, look at them, swarming like bees. They make the pitch small for the harder for the opposition to pass the ball. They lose the ball. Remember, they're playing against some great teams here as well. Look at them. Without the ball. This is their philosophy. Remember I said, what sort of team do you want to be? This is them without the ball. Look. And you think that Barcelona are just a team who can play good football. They work really, really hard as well. And they're getting a hell of a press from the opposition as well. Look at him. You think he's waiting back there? You think they're waiting back there? Who have they got? No one behind them. Except for the goalkeeper, he's outside his box. Look, they've got the ball. How much time have they got? Yeah, how much time has the opposition got? Like Central Coast in the opposition's half? No chance. Look, they're on the edge of their box. Look how much pressure they're putting. And look what happens. Central defender. Frightening. Look. Yeah, and look, Atletico Madrid are a fantastic team. Look at this. Yeah, look at this. Look at the pressure. Look at that. 3 players around him. 4, 5, 6. It must be an overload somewhere. They don't care about these guys. They're not important. When Barcelona can't win the ball back within 6 seconds, then they restore their usual formation and defend a little bit deeper. Remember I said key moments in games initially? So what do we want to do? We want to try and win it back. If we can't win it back, maybe then we decide to hold back. That's what Barcelona's philosophy is.
That's the reason.
And no, so not getting played in around behind. Because then they can't win it. Because when you push forward, you lose your structure. Interesting. Did you think Barcelona worked that hard? I've got one more video for you, guys. And as much as you want to prepare and you want to say, I want to win that ball back and I want to be a defensive team that wins the ball back within 6 seconds and really put the pressure on them so we can win and score and counter-attack. Sometimes, doesn't matter what happens, you can't. This video here is Barcelona again, but Barcelona in possession. Have a look at the other team. I think it's Real Sociedad. Have a look how hard the other team presses. 42 passes Barcelona had before they scored. Hang on. Sorry. The commentary's in Spanish, so we'll leave it on. For all you Spanish people. 42 passes, guys. That's in their half. They're putting a fair bit of pressure, yeah? Look at this pressure. Look, they're giving him much time on the ball. Probably doing the right thing, huh?
De los 5 que ha marcado el conjunto azulgrana en esta pretemporada. El otro lo marcó Jonathan dos Santos. Ahí está precisamente el mexicano jugando ante sus compatriotas, haciéndolo en Estados Unidos y otra vez ocupando ese lateral derecho. Balón para Keita, juega el Barcelona, camino ya del 3 de esta primera mitad. Apertura hacia la banda derecha, que viene Jonathan. Se para Jonathan ante Miguel Ponce, juega la pelota, no, balón raso. Para que toque el balón Cuenca. Ahí está Cuenca.
The opposition defending pretty tough, aren't they? They're aggressive, they're not holding back, you're not seeing anything and saying, wow, this team's just walking. Sometimes you just can't win that ball back. You can't win it back, you force them back. Away from your goal, protection of your goal.
3 minutos de la primera mitad. La pretemporada de Barcelona, aquí, en Gol Televisión, donde si no. Balón en profundidad, no hay fuera de juego. Se va a llevar la pelota a línea. Gol, 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 gol.
Was that the youth team or the first team?
Ah, they're first.
That's David Hill.
Yeah. David Villa played for
Melbourne City.
Melbourne City. So as you can see there, guys, sometimes as much as you with all the intentions in the world, as much as you want to try and win that ball back. So I just wanted to give you an understanding of the types of analysis that once you become better players and you start playing for better teams, you're going to get exposed to this sort of stuff. So you'll get exposed to a lot of video. Technology is changing, so it's easier to videotape. A lot of teams are just using GoPros, so they'll put it up somewhere where they can see the whole game. They don't have to have someone man it, then they can analyse that way. We videotape training and watch it. We videotape our training sessions to make sure that what we're trying to talk to the players about on the whiteboard with the markers, they understand because it's working out on the field before we go out to the into the games. So analysis, video analysis in particular, is really important. Really important part of football, and hopefully the game is changing and progressing in this country that you should all have already been exposed to video sessions and things like that. It will change, like I said, once you get older and in better teams, you'll get exposed to stuff like that. And we only really touched on one of the 4 key moments, and that is when the opposition has the ball. Any questions? All good? Comments?
Do you ever have like a player like to trick the opposition to like don't put him in like one position, just instead of using like a structure, don't put him in one position, put him in like multiple positions. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we do have a player who goes into multiple positions. His name's Lee Broxham.
Yeah.
But we don't do that for any other reason than we feel at that particular time, for that particular game, under the circumstances that we're at, he's the best player to play in that position.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't put our striker into central midfield, so then the opposition are going to think, oh, he's not really a striker, but he ends up confusing them, because we feel our game plan, and this is how it should be, I think, that we feel our game plan is the best prepared, the best executed, the best thought out game plan, that we don't really care if the opposition know what we're going to do. The best teams are the teams that everyone knows what they're going to do, but they still can't stop it. Yeah. Everyone knows Barcelona will play out from the back, but they can't stop it. Everyone knew under Ange Postecoglou that Brisbane played out from the back no matter what. Yeah, but they went 50, how many games? 50 odd, 56 games? 42 games without losing a game, playing that way. They won 2 back to back.
Oh, it's because they had what's his name?
Barisha.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully that works for us then. So yeah, so we just stick to our structure. We work at it. We work at it. Video is a big part of what we do, but we wouldn't do that to try and confuse the opposition,
Yeah.
because we think what we do is good enough,
Yeah.
and let them know we don't care.
Yeah.
So. All right, guys, thanks for turning up. Hopefully you got something out of that. Our next lecture, which is the 13th, Tony, I think 13th of December. It'll be 7 o'clock again. You'll definitely get an email to remind you. I may do it, or I'm just working on bringing our head analysis guy from Melbourne Victory to come in and run through the type of video analysis that he would do with the Victory, which is a lot more sophisticated than what I've shown you, which includes some tactical stuff where he stops, draws in pictures, moves players around, and that sort of stuff as well. So make sure you turn up for that one. Thank you for your time, and we'll see you training. I think you guys have still got to see Tony. But well done, guys, and we'll see you soon. Cheers.